The Gregory Horror Show is a surreal tween horror show made in the early 2000s, late 90s. It's a really good show, but it makes absolutely no attempt to try to explain itself ever, to my knowledge. The show literally invented a lot of the symbolism used in indie animation. Each episode is about 2 minutes long, approximately. Each season is about an hour long and contains approximately 20 episodes. The series is really good. I'm not going to overanalyze every single episode in one go. This is because that's extremely exhausting and I'm tired of taking that toll on myself. I also want to explain that I'm not going to go too deep into how I form the opinions about the symbolism. A lot of the stuff you can look up online, like the color symbolism. That's really self-explanatory. I'm also not going to go too deep into the other symbolism of the other characters because a lot of it is stuff I've over-explained many times on the channel. If you have a problem with this, I am sure you can watch my older videos on this exact subject, for they're definitely worth the watch. The next episode transitions to the two cactus people from the other two seasons, sister and brother cactus gunmen. They are trying to forcefully enter a train when everything goes wrong. Gregory's train transitions into trying to slow down to not hit the cactus gunman. He couldn't slow down fast enough and annihilates the cactus brother. The sister to cactus gunman cries out in pain, and a wishing star now appears in the sky, soon to be granted. Her wish does get granted since Gregory does patch him up. Wishing stars are being convenient intervention. Gregory asks him why he was trying to ambush the train by himself. For the first time, I do start to notice that the cactus does have bullet holes in his clothing. God, I'm so terrible at understanding things about this character. I have no idea why. He escapes from Cactus Land, so he thought he could ride the train. The train was something nobody wants in their sane mind for themselves. He says he was trying to fight for a revolution. That revolution was halted because they have fallen for their own false sense of capitalism around them. His sister starts to get upset and says that he couldn't hit a target if it was right in front of his face, which is painfully obvious. The train is heading right back to Cactus Land. He doesn't want to head back to Cactus Land since that was why he was trying to run in the first place, to create a revolution. He realizes that he has to not succumb to his fate and leaves very quickly. He's heading straight back to Cactus Land to try to avoid the law, essentially. The cactus gunmen tried to get away as quickly as possible. Someone also fires a shot at Gregory himself. Another possible interpretation of this is actually just immigration. These people immigrated to another country to start a business. They immigrated illegally, which is how they came across Gregory. Gregory is kind of monopolistic and things didn't go well, so they left and headed back to Cactus Land. This could also be about how the cactuses were a drug or some kind of manufacturer for Gregory. They came in the New World to avoid laws that they broke to help Gregory become a monopoly, only in the end to bite consequences because Gregory threw them under the bus. Hence why Gregory had a single shot get shot at him. In the next episode, it transitions to be about Gregory's loyal cult following. The train enters an ancient battlefield of ghostly samurai warrior skeletons. Being a ghost represents the fact you're still alive and still have a life worth living. Samurais are best known for their devoted, unconditional loyalty. Them being skeletons represents a change in their lives, probably from their own addiction to their loyalty, drug addiction. A battlefield represents that their loyalty is sparking chaos. You see Gregory get mad as he's trying to get them to go away, similar to how beggars need money so that they can fuel their own habits. That is why giving money to beggars tends to make things worse, typically for all parties involved. Another interpretation of this is these people aren't drug addicts per se, but they're people who want to start a business. Drugs is something that you could easily argue is being capitalistic goods, because they give you happiness, but you don't necessarily need it. It gets dropped from one of the warriors that there's a revolt from one of Gregory's followers that will unfold very soon. Gregory lies and says that the dining car has a revolt unfolding and he needs to deal with it. Dining cars are where most likely the drugs are being manufactured. Drugs are being what he wants to begin with. The chef's knife cuts down the samurai only for him to want more in the background. More drugs equals more money needed to buy from Gregory. He has to run as quickly as possible before more beggars follow wanting more. In the next episode, it transitions into the conductor room having a lost and found. Gregory is looking through the lost and found because he's looking for a lost one. When you are dead, there are people who still care about you, but they may not be able to find you, so they have to go searching. He can't describe the item because he's embarrassed to say what it is. We see the doll that is a representation of not facing the uncomfortable truth. The uncomfortable truth of a lost loved one. This is also the first time I realized she has two heads, one in the front and one in the back. When this doll has a meltdown, it is because her head rotates itself to show who is facing. She is crying as per usual about the fact she cannot find her own doll. She is that doll and she doesn't want to face that uncomfortable realization. It also gets dropped that both faces of the doll are named Katie. It gets revealed the other Katie doll who knows who the other Katie is. The other Katie being the realization of the uncomfortable truth. Gregory grabs scissors and cuts her own puppet strings. This is because neither Katie is under their own control. They are the victims of their own manipulation, being puppeteered by someone much larger than they are. That much larger person being an abusive person. She loses control and remains lifeless on the floor. Some truths are too difficult to bear in order to learn how to pull your own strings. He sends her to the lost and found because she needs to find a new controller. It gets revealed that Gregory was just sleeping in a woman's bed. He was missing his own miniature version of himself the whole time. The miniature version most likely being a young child who died or an unborn baby. It could also be a reference to divorce. That doll most likely what caused this whole situation to begin with. In the next episode, it transitions into the eucalyptus selling koala running out of boxed lunches. Gregory cannot have any because they were sold out of his very own food source used to create lunches. Boxed lunches are stereotypical capitalist things. Lunchables is terrible and is incredibly overpriced as well. He cannot buy his own lunches, so he walks over to see who ate them all, only to find a chicken-eating chicken consuming an entire seat of boxed chicken meals whole. If you look inside the box, you will see chicken and other weird things inside of it. The chicken has the word cholesterol on his shirt. He has blue and orange stripes on it as well. Blue being a symbol of kindness, orange being a symbol of your own emotions. 2 orange stripes means you need more emotions. The blue stripes mean that he needs more kindness in his world. Seeing them in a layered pattern like that represents that they're clashing against each other. I think that this means his own cholesterol is how he channels the lack of kindness towards his sense of self. The chicken starts describing how he found the perfect job being on a chicken farm as a literal chicken. When you're a celebrity, you tend to sell your body and your personality to Hollywood or wherever you belong. The real celebrities in this world are the people like you watching this video. If you're sitting there spending hours upon hours trying to become famous, it's kind of pointless. Just be happy in life. In order for you to become a celebrity in this world, you gotta do a lot of self-harm. You gotta sit there, work your butt off for many years, trying to sit there and sell your soul in the end. That's another possible interpretation. They start laughing very hard at their own disgust for each other. One person being a drug lord, that drug could also be Gregory's boxed lunches. After all, there are way too many Gregory products that he sells throughout this entire show. The chicken being their own worst nightmare of capitalism. I'm not sure which person is worse here, being a monopolistic drug lord or being addicted to your own self-harm while also feeding the problem itself. I believe that this episode is trying to explain to vote with your own wallet and not with your heart. The episode ends with Gregory wanting some of that bad intent for himself, implying that he got addicted to the chicken's version of self-harm. In the next episode, it transitions into Fantasy Man. He is the embodiment of his own worst fantasies he has uncovered. He's just a gossipy, rude man or some kind of reporter. Fantasy Man is forcing Gregory to want to buy into his own gossip. We see Gregory stare into Fantasy Man's third eye, the third eye being a metaphor for uncovering the truth. We see a heart unzip its own very cursed butt cheeks. He uncovers that Gregory has boned somebody. Gregory gets mad and tells them to go away. We hear Catherine while Gregory is reading his newspaper. Newspaper is a metaphor for uncovering the truth. Fantasy Man decides to read Catherine's own psychotic fantasy, she being the liquid fear-inducing creature that she liquidates out of the world. He becomes afraid and Catherine uses the needles to suck the life force out of his body, implying that Gregory probably had something to do with that. After all, you don't need people knowing too much about you. The train travels to Fantasy Theater. Fantasy Theater has orange, green, and blue striped curtains. Orange is the color associated with emotions, green is matters for the heart, blue being symbolic for communicating those things out loud. Seeing them in a striped pattern represents that they're clashing with each other. We see Gregory completely drunk because of how emotional he is. We see Fantasy Man unable to perform because of how rotted away he is from losing his sense of vitality from Catherine. Gregory is unable to pour his own drink because there's no fluids inside the chemistry flask he is holding. Gregory demands a refund because he didn't feel the drama here went far enough, money being a metaphor for karma inflicted. So in the next episode, it transitions into a dragon skeleton archaeologist looking for treasure, dragons being symbolic for wealth, good luck, and strength. The pink hair represents love for your source of pride. Archaeologist is someone who loves being able to find hidden treasures. A skeleton is the transformation that is the outcome of all of this. The dragon enters the train and is having heart issues. He is dizzy and is having problems walking inside the train. He falls and loses his necklace across the floor. The necklace contains a picture of him and his wife. Gregory finds him on the ground and tries to do something about it. He gets better thanks to Gregory later that day. The dragon talks about trying to find the fossil of the rainbow dragon. The fossil starts describing how his wife died because of his obsessions trying to find the rainbow dragon fossil. His stories about his wife are oddly self-aware of how she did actually die. She died because of his obsessions trying to find the rare rainbow dragon fossil. Rainbows are symbolic for miracles. Dragons are symbolic for the divine. Miracles and the divine are also symbolic for what God is, essentially, or is widely considered. We hear a scream in the background and the train halts. The train halts right next to a tunnel and the conductor says they are going to do a safety check. The tunnel looks like a mine shaft that children tend to yearn for in gaming. He hears the voices from his own necklace. The voices are telling him to head towards the tunnel that was foreshadowed as just being able to collapse. He finds the rainbow dragon fossil. No surprise, his wife is the rainbow dragon fossil, comes back to life and ends his. Dragons are divine beings. The archaeologist is either Lucifer or Satan because their own pride was their own downfall. His ambition was his own destruction. Him having issues with the heart does tie into that. In the next episode, it transitions into Gregory sitting in a seat and he hears the sheep in the background from the second season. I originally said in the second season that the black sheep was just a playful annoyance. He is technically a playful annoyance, but he's more of a person who tends to constantly get in the middle of conflicts that they just had no association with. The sheep is saying he cannot sleep because he's having bad dreams. Gregory offers to help him sleep by guiding him to rest properly. The black sheep asks if he can stay until he falls asleep soundly. Gregory does gullibly agree. The sheep starts quoting Gregory and an argument he did have with his mother in his sleep. His mother, I am pretty sure, is a metaphor for the Antichrist. Gregory is a metaphor for the false prophet from New Revelations. The Golden Judgment Boy is actually just literal God, as I said earlier. The 4 Judgment Boy horsemen are being sent down by heaven in Revelations to punish human sins on behalf of God. He starts describing as he is talking in the sheep's sleep about his mother being abusive. Gregory starts realizing he's talking on behalf of his own mother. He's also dreaming Gregory's own dreams. Gregory can't sleep now because he's stressed about the sheep. There's a coffee and eye clips trying to keep him awake so he doesn't fall asleep. He realizes he's eventually going to have to talk to his mother. His mother is beyond pissed. I realize as I'm trying to finish the scripting process that there's one detail I didn't notice beforehand. I paused the video, and as I'm writing the script out, I noticed that in the background there's a book Gregory is reading called The Judgment Day. But day is misspelled with an E instead of an A. I had to sit there and think very hard whether or not this is intentional or not, because it could be mistranslated, and I don't think it is. There's a very specific thing that this could be referring to. Day being spelled with an E translate into the people during the Ottoman Empire in Turkey. A Dey is someone who is religious or a political figure in Turkey. Turkey was where the Book of New Revelations was conceived. The book heavily focused on the 7 churches located in Turkey. The 7 stars, or the Pleiades from New Revelations, does tie into that. Gregory reading Judgment Day book does symbolize what I had originally thought this current season about him being the false prophet. This also ties into other things that happened in the previous seasons. The lamb was clearly Jesus taking punches by overextending himself. This is something that Jesus is described as doing, but that's not the only thing he's also described as doing. There's the green bird from the first season, which does connect them to each other. The next episode transitions into the only episode where we get to see a Judgment Boy actually say something. He says, "You have reached a cross in the road in life. Should you be going left or should you be going right? Even though the track has been laid, you cannot help but fully hesitate, because the passenger's fate does depend on your decision." The transition train inches backwards a tad because the life railroad not knowing where to go. Without letting Gregory answer the question, the Judgment Boy proceeds to let its normal Judgment Boy routine happen. Gregory stands on top of the train. The Judgment Boy tries forcing a decision to be made by forcing everyone on the train to die. Gregory gives one of the best monologues I think I've ever heard him give, or really any monologue.
What are you so worked up about? What? You say you don't want to lead the passengers to the depths of despair? Well, then I say don't do it. Why should you let somebody else decide your destination? There's only one direction, the future. Don't hesitate. Proceed straight ahead.
The train goes off the tracks and proceeds forward. The next episode transitions into the train traveling through a warp in space. Gregory falls asleep and enters a dream. Spacing out is also a metaphor for what happens in your dream. So in Gregory's dream, we see a brick wall with a door. Doors are decisions you can choose to make if you choose to walk through them. The brick walls are metaphors for hard boundaries to cross. Gregory is in outer space, representing Gregory feeling isolated. We see a Gregory who's the false prophet enter through the door. He's purple and ghostly looking. Purple is a color associated with truth. The other Gregory, being plasma-like, is a metaphor for them being high energy. We see that this isn't actually Gregory's mom that is trying to reach out specifically. It is also the protagonist from the second season. She became Gregory, and that is why Gregory ran out of his establishment in the first place. We saw a brief glimpse of this in the second season, where we saw the protagonist's shadow at the end of the show. This also ties into the idea about the show being about New Revelations. This does explain a lot, and this does explain how every single character is not really a person specifically. more like the embodiment of a type of person. We also see that the Gregory mouse from the second season, it turns into Frost as she tries to bite into Gregory, implying that the emotions are still very cold. We see the lost souls in the seat of the train, implying that the other people are forced to share Gregory's lost transitional path of life. Gregory tunnels back into the Gregory establishment. We see that Gregory establishment has inverted its own color in the sequence, implying that the roles did get reversed. We see Gregory Mouse from season 2 offered to help the other Gregory find a room in the hotel. Gregory looks terrified for reasons that are pretty self-explanatory. Gregory transitions back into the train and puts the hotel keys in a briefcase. The briefcase being where you put things you may need later. Fortunately, there's not too much left to explain. I think I can probably finish the rest in one episode. This is a really good show. I did really enjoy it. I just think it's an absolute pain in the ass. It never really makes much of an attempt to explain itself. Really good show, but they really need to explain themselves just a little bit more. They don't have to do a whole lot. Just a little bit more. This was a lot of fun making. See you in the next one.